أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذ قال ربك للملائكة إني خالق بشرا من طين، فإذا سويته ونفخت فيه من روحي فقعوا له ساجدين، فسجد الملائكة كلهم أجمعون إلا إبليس استكبر وكان من الكافرين. قال يا إبليس ما منعك أن تسجد لما خلقت بيدي؟ ما منعك أن تسجد لما خلقت بيدي؟ أستكبرت أم كنت من العالين؟ قال أنا خير منه، خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. قال فاخرج منها فإنك رجيم، وإن عليك لعنتي إلى يوم الدين. قال رب فأنظرني إلى يوم يبعثون. قال فإنك من المنظرين إلى يوم الوقت المعلوم. قال فبعزتك لأغوينهم أجمعين إلا عبادك منهم المخلصين. قال فالحق والحق أقول لأملأن جهنم منك وممن تبعك منهم أجمعين. قل ما أسألكم عليه من أجر وما أنا من المتكلفين، إن هو إلا ذكر للعالمين ولتعلمن نبأه بعد حين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته, dear brothers. Yesterday we mentioned how the person came to the Imam Sadiq alayhi salam and asked him, what is haqq of the mu'min upon the mu'min? The person was having a hard time and he was saying to the Imam how everyone is so, against the Shia. they call us rawafid. They tell us whatever problem there is, they put it on the Shia. Even there are some sort of vegetables, they say Shias are not allowed to eat it. Well, Shias eat all the vegetables. They say it against the Shia, saying, oh, because they think that type of vegetable, it grew on the blood of Imam Hussain in Karbala, and they have these things that are not even true. So the Imam told him, what did they say about Moses in the books? They say, and the Quran has a tell us that if you go check the books, you will see what they have said in the Bible and the Torah about Moses. What did they say about Jesus? They say he is not, he is the son of not halal. What did they say about the other prophets? About Prophet Muhammad as well. So it's okay when they say these things about the Shia. So this person was talking to the Imam, and he told him, so what is the right, I'm such a good person, I think I have it all done. So what's the right of a believer upon a believer? The Imam told him, I don't think you can do it. So I'm going to say it. I think this is the first time we're going to hear it. So, and we will be responsible to follow it. This is heavier than the right of a Muslim on a Muslim. As part of akhlaq. للمؤمن على المؤمن 7 حقوق. 7 واجبة له من الله عز وجل والله سائله عنها عما صنع فيها, and God will ask him in judgment day what he has done with these rights. The first one is الإجلال له في عينه, is respecting them when you see them in their eyes. That's the first one. So the first thing is reputation. Believers in society, they have a reputation. Seems like it's coming from the perspective of reputation. So respecting them when you see them in their eyes, like making them feel like they are like, they're of high rank, giving them that dear look. وَالْوُدُّ لَهُ فِي صَدْرِهِ, and you have a love for them, you have a care about them in your heart. In sadr means in the chest, means in the heart. So deep down, you care about them. وَالْمُوَاسَاةُ لَهُ فِي مَالِهِ. One example the Dr. Al-Wa'ili gave was that if I have a pocket which has money or a bank account, then my brother in my family, he can get money whenever he wants. He wants $300 to buy anything, anytime. So are we like this amongst the believing brothers? Or is our bank accounts open for each other like that? Will we, if we, like nowadays, we even have problems for 3 brothers who have a supermarket each to join together and open one supermarket. They have a problem amongst themselves. That's the problem in this society, that we are not uniting as we should. Islam is a ummah. Ummah has an imam. We cannot be an ummah without a leader, an imam. So we have to act in that way, inshallah. وَأَنْ يُحِبَّ لَهُ مَا يُحِبُّ لِنَفْسِهِ, and to love for them, to want for them what you would love and want for yourself. You don't give them the bad brand or something that's faulty, or the advice. And وَأَنْ يُحَرَّمَ غَيْبَتَهِ, this is very important, not to backstab anyone, even between you and yourself. Think good of them. That's all in line with the thinking well of your believing brother, the believer. وَأَنْ يَعُودَهِ فِي مَرَضَهِ, and to go to them when they get sick. See if they need anything. What if they're, for example, don't have lunch today and they're sick? Maybe you could help them. That would be so beautiful. وَيُشَيَّعَ جَنَازَةً, and this is also حق المسلم على المسلم, to go in the janazah and do tashyi' and be there for them. Why? And lastly, 7th, وَلَا يَقُولَ فِيهِ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهِ, and not to say anything in their death except khayra, except something that's good. Just remember the good things if they were to die. So this is, as I see it, is all to do with the reputation. So believers in the society, they have a high reputation because what they believe in is the highest thing. And Imam Ali alayhi salam reflects on this also by saying, كفى لي عزا أن أكون لك عبدا. It is enough of a very high rank and reputation for me to be a prayer, a worshipper of you, O Lord. And آخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم
السلام علیکم. بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات. محمد وآل محمد. آج بھی زینب کی آتی ہے صدا بھائی حسین. آج بھی زینب کی آتی ہے صدا بھائی حسین. تیرا چہرہ تیری آنکھیں بھول کب پائی حسین. آج بھی زینب کی آتی ہے صدا بھائی حسین. چلتے ناکے سے گرایا خود کو جلتی ریت پر. جلتے ناکے سے گرایا خود کو جلتی ریت پر. گھٹنیوں کے بل پہ تیری لاش تک آئی حسین. تیرا چہرہ تیری آنکھیں بھول کب پائی حسین. بس میں گھبرائی تھی خنجر تجھ پہ چلتا دیکھ کر. بس میں گھبرائی تھی تجھ پر خنجر چلتا دیکھ کر. پھر کسی مشکل میں گھبرر میں نہ گھبرائی حسین. پھر کسی مشکل میں گھر کر میں نہ گھبرائی حسین. کون تھا جو مرنے والوں میں نہیں تھا خوبرو. کون تھا جو مرنے والوں میں نہیں تھا خوبرو. بھولنے بیٹھی تو کس کس کی نہ یاد آئی حسین. تیرا چہرہ تیری آنکھیں بھول کب پائی حسین. بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. أما بعد. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullahu khairan once again to the presenters before me, our dear brother Sa'id and our dear Hajj Ashiq Rasul Gilani, for that amazing rendition of the struggles, the pains, the sorrows, the grief of Sayyida Zainab salamullahu alayha. And of course, brother Sa'id made some very important points which embodies the message of Karbala very greatly, because you have this dichotomy between truth and falsehood. Truth on the one hand, the side of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein, and lies on the side of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad and Yazid. And there are few times in history where you see this kind of contrast being manifested in such a deep and meaningful way. You see it once, for example, in the Battle of Khandaq, when the Holy Prophet says to Imam Ali, alayhi salatu wassalam, he says that right now, the personification of belief is fighting against the personification of disbelief. Sometimes lies, falsehood, they win in the short run, but the truth prevails in the long run. And this is the most powerful message of Karbala. It prevailed in the long run. Yazid might have won a battle in a materialistic sense, but he lost the war completely. Several generations, the entire Umayyad dynasty was destroyed. And of course, Imam al-Hussein's name is praised in every crevice of the world, whereas Yazid's name is cursed. Insha'Allah ta'ala, as we continue these programs, we can glean that truth, absorb it into our heart, and let it mold our character and personality in our journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And insha'Allah, with that said, I'd like to invite our dear and respected Hajj, Dr. Abdul Sa'ad, to continue with tonight's lecture, to present the main lecture. Please welcome him with 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليكم جميعا. Brothers and sisters. Yes, thank you very much. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة قالوا أتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك قال إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون. صدق الله العلي العظيم وصدق رسوله الكريم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs us in the Holy Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 30. When your Lord told the angels, I am putting a Khalifa. And Khalifa can be translated as successor, vicegerent, deputy, a representative. This human that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, this Adamic creation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is designating him as his deputy on earth, as his steward on earth. He's giving him a level of authority over earth. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the angels, I'm putting a Khalifa on earth. And they said, will you put someone there who will cause damage and bloodshed when we celebrate your praise and proclaim your holiness? But he said, I know things you do not. Brothers and sisters, thank you again for joining me for what is an academic discussion of the tragedy of Karbala. And in our previous 2 lectures, we established the following, just so we are on the same page and we're recapping. Number 1, Imam Hussein's mission, alayhi salam, was grounded in his perfect and complete and integrated understanding of the reality of Allah as the source of all existence, as the ground of all existence. Imam Hussain alayhi salam was fully aware of the rububiyyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of his absolute lordship. And his mission was grounded in this absolute reality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the foundation of all of reality. We concluded from this that the mission of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam was grounded in the absolute reality of Allah, and therefore Imam al-Hussein's mission was free from any element of his own human subjectivity. So we could say that Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam fully emptied himself of all of his own subjectivity, any ego, any desire, any pretension, any of his own will, and fully submitted to the divine will. Because the human nafs, left to its own devices, would not submit to this end, would not submit to this trial. So this was a complete emptying. And we have to understand that it takes a very unique human being to be able to manifest this level of surrender to the divine will. This in itself proves that Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam is the Khalifa of Allah on his earth. Just this fact. Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam emptied himself and became the perfect vehicle for manifesting the divine attribute of mercy, of rahmah. Sacrificing himself and his family, grounded in the full light of his perfect awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Lord. Now, like I said, what we want to do tonight is look at the field of Quranic anthropology. So going from existence itself as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the basis of existence, and then yesterday we looked at beg your pardon, just my notes are not in order here. 1 second. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So yes, we looked at the reality of the existence ontologically and how that grounded Imam al-Hussein's mission. And then last night we established that Imam al-Hussein's mission had a cosmological, or in Arabic we'd say a takwini element, that it was related to the kawn, to the universe, the cosmos and its operation. His mission was the essential step to bring back into alignment, to reform and to awaken the religious and the sacred cosmos that his grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa ali and his father Imam Ali alayhi salam had laid the foundations for in their struggle against the disbelievers, the oppressors, and the hypocrites who sought to extinguish the nur of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So in this regard, Imam al-Hussain was actively participating in restoring God's cosmic order to the earth plane, which due to the corruption and usurpation had gone into a state of disorder, into a state of chaos, into a state of sacrilege, violating the cosmic laws and norms of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whose universe is governed by haqq. And when Imam al-Hussain declared his mission, when he left Medina, the religious cosmos, the sacred cosmos, was in a state of disintegration. If we compare it to a patient, to a human, it was near terminal. It was hanging on by a thread. Because Islam at that point was on the verge of being lost to the Umayyad dynasty, lost forever. So tonight we turn to the question of Quranic anthropology. Who is the human according to the Quran? like I said a couple of nights ago, anthropology being the field, it's the study of man. And when I say man and woman, man is the human being. Man is the sort of the older term that's been used. Man, Bani Adam. Now, when we look at the Quran's conception of the human being, of Adam, of this Adamic creature, I think it's helpful to make a distinction between two categories. One is the general or generic Khalifa, or what we call general or generic vicegerency. This is the proto-Adam, the proto-Khalifa, like the prototype, who exists as a potential. So you and me are the Khalifa in a generic sense. We have the potential to manifest the attributes of this Khalifa. We all have this as a potential, depending on our level of purity and our level of consciousness, to be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's representative, deputy, steward, or successor on earth, over ourselves, over those entrusted with us, over our responsibilities. So this is the general or generic vicegerency, which exists as a potential in all humans. Now, the second category is specific, or what I would term manifest vicegerency. And these are the human beings who have actually manifested the fullness of the Khalifa, the Quranic Khalifa. These are the humans who have actually manifested the status of God's vicegerent. These are the humans who have been capable of fully understanding who God is as the only reality, as the ground of being, ontology, and have lived their life in perfect harmony with the laws of God that govern the universe, cosmology. So this is where what we're terming as the specific vicegerency, which is an actual human that exists. Because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just, and of course He is, and He directs us to the possibility of us being a fully realized human Khalifa, He must give us guides who themselves have manifested this potential. Right? Does that make sense? Who have manifested this potential in its fullness. And these individuals would be our masters, would be our guides, and it would be incumbent upon us to recognize their status and be loyal to them as God's chosen representatives. God Himself would direct us to who they are, for they would be His select, His choicest. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inni ja'alun fil ardi khalifa. I am designating upon this earth my Khalifa. So is the reasoning clear here? That there must exist, not just as a potential, as a generic vicegerency where we are all the Khalifa, which is true. Human beings in a generic sense, we are the Khalifa of Allah as a potential. And we manifest that according to various degrees while we're alive. From, if you want to look at it simply, from some people do a very poor job and fail because they live a life full of vice and selfishness. And others do a better job and live a life of more purity and more awakening. So in this truth-based order, in this cosmos governed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is Al-Haq, the truth, who is pure and holy, He is Al-Quddus, His representative on earth, His Khalifa, His deputy, His successor, His steward, who He is entrusted, is given authority on earth and ultimately has the capacity to represent what? To represent and to manifest the divine names and attributes of God through his or her character. So the Khalifatullah ala ardi is not just a generic category that applies to us universally as humans. That's true, but it's also is a distinct category of humans who actually manifested the perfection of this archetype, of this Adamic prototype. Are we following? So, in so doing, in manifesting this godly character, that is righteous, based on haqq, and purified, mutahhar. This creation of God, this specific Khalifa who's worthy of being called the vicegerent, who's worthy of being the wali of Allah, is capable of governing the earth plane justly and righteously, because he's manifesting the fullness of the Khalifa. Now, the Quran informs us that this Adamic creature, this human clay-based creature with a God-breathed spirit and a desire-based, instinctually driven, flesh-based body. So he has a dual nature. We have two natures, a spiritual and a physical or material nature. That this Adamic creature that he created from clay and breathed his spirit into him is capable of manifesting two realities. One, he can represent God by integrating his spiritual and physical nature to manifest the best of God's creation. This is your potential. This form of the Adamic archetype is what we call man as such, man in his fullness. The human in his fullness, and in his fullest expression, this man, human, belongs to Hizbullah, the party of God. We mentioned the verses yesterday. On the other end of the spectrum, representing various degrees of darkness and turning away from God, succumbing to ghafla, falling asleep, heedlessness, he, to various degrees, becomes a vehicle for darkness, and in its most extreme form, Satan, to take hold of him and, as Imam Ali said, to hatch eggs in his chest, in his bosom, making him capable of and being attracted to all manner of vile deeds. So this is the spectrum of the Adamic prototype. From one spectrum is Muhammadi, Alawi, Hussaini, and the other spectrum is Yazidi. Other spectrum is Muawiyah. Other spectrum is Abi Sufyan. Other spectrum is the disbelievers and hypocrites who dealt with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi and Imam Ali alayhi salam with treachery and warfare and constant strife. So we have a spectrum here. So although there's two categories, they're occupied according to a spectrum, according to a hierarchy of consciousness. Right? So in his fullness, this is the Quranic anthropology. This is how the Quran is defining man. In his fullness, this Adamic creature is the true wali of Allah. He's his vicegerent, he's his guardian, he's his representative. His true guardian, his true representative, because this is the Khalifa who resides in perfect harmony with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a vertical chain of authority directly from Allah. What do I mean by that? Vertical chain of authority. Meaning this Khalifa is capable of receiving direct guidance from Allah. That's the key to the true Khalifa. He can receive guidance from Allah, and Allah in the Quran identifies for us specifically who are the humans who He declares to be in this category. His true Khalifas on His earth, who are committed to governing over themselves according to God's laws, over others according to the cosmic laws of Allah. It is this true Khalifa that is the true wali of Allah, his true trustee, his true guardian, who he entrusts with his secret knowledge, which gives him authority over creation. So the Khalifa receives guidance from God through that vertical column. We could say from heaven. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. إنما وليكم الله ورسوله والذين آمنوا الذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم راكعون. وَمَن يَتَوَلَّ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فَإِنَّ حِزْبَ اللَّهِ هُمُ الْغَالِبُونَ. Your guardian is only Allah. So this is now the vertical chain of authority that leads to the true Khalifa on the earth, because the true Khalifa is connected to a vertical chain of authority with guidance from Allah. If he's guided by Allah, he's the true Khalifa. Because if you read the Quran, when Iblis challenges Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, I'm going to attack them from their front and back, from their left and right, not from above. The true Khalifa is connected to that vertical column from above. And this true Khalifa, cannot be attacked by shaitan. This true Khalifa stands on earth horizontally, anchored to that vertical column. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us who they are in this verse. Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5, verse 55. إِنَّمَا وَلِيُّكُمُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. Your guardian is only Allah, وَرَسُولُهُ, and his apostle, his messenger. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. And then there's this third group. So, Rasulullah certainly is the Khalifa in that vertical chain of authority. Who is above him? Allah. Okay. Then there's a third group. إِنَّمَا وَلِيُّكُمُ اللَّهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ultimate wali, the ultimate guardian, the king of the universe, the controller, the governor. But he says, I'm going to put my Khalifa on the earth. He's telling you who it is. وَرَسُولُهُ. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Then there's the third group. Who's this third group? Just any mu'min, any believer? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a unique qualifier. الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ وَهُمْ رَاكِعُونَ. And those who give the zakat, and those who maintain the prayer and give the zakat while bowing down. Who is this person that gave the zakat to the beggar in the Prophet's mosque? Gave his ring in ruku'. Who? Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali alayhi salam is recognized in the Quran as being in this vertical chain of authority. And therefore Allah says, وَمَن يَتَوَلَّ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. If you have wilayah, if you take these as your guardians, my true vicegerents, my true representatives, فَإِنَّ حِزْبَ اللَّهِ هُمُ الْغَالِبُونَ. You'll be victorious. You're part of Hizbullah. In contradistinction to what? Hizbul what? Hizbul Shaitan. So anyone that fought Imam Ali, what camp are they in? Hizbul Shaitan. Not a controversial statement. No matter their designation, anyone who fought Imam Ali, anyone who waged a war against Imam Ali, according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is Hizbul Shaitan. It's that clear. We see here that the true Khalifa, the fullness of the anthropos, the Adamic creature, human, man, Bani Adam, insan, we see here that the true Khalifa, the fullness of the anthropos, according to the Quran, is none other than Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi and Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Both created of the same Nur al-Muhammadi, and Ali alayhi salam being the very nafs of Rasulullah according to the Quran. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فمن حاجك فيه من بعد ما جاءك من العلم فقل تعالوا ندعو أبناءنا وأبناءكم ونساءنا ونساءكم وأنفسنا وأنفسكم ثم نبتهل فنجعل لعنة الله على الكاذبين. This is the event of the mubahala. If anyone disputes this with you now that you have been given this knowledge, say, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa is commanded, tell them, come, let us gather our sons, Hassan and Hussein alayhi salam, and your sons and our women, Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam, and your women and ourselves. Who's the nafs of Rasulullah according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Imam Ali alayhi salam. And ourselves and yourselves, and let us pray earnestly and invoke God's rejection on those of us who are lying, hiding in plain sight who the khulafa are, who the true vicegerents of Allah are. The event of Mubahala highlights the special status and purity of these individuals who are the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. The inclusion of these family members in such a critical religious confrontation directed by Al-Bari Ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from heaven. The inclusion of these family members in such a critical religious confrontation underscores the importance and the Prophet's confidence in the divine truth of his message. You think it was just random that at the Mubahala event, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, ashraful makhluqat, the best of creation, the best man, the perfect man, Waliullah, his vicegerent, under instruction from Allah, under divine revelation, says, Nafsi, this man, Ali ibn Abi Talib, is my nafs, wa anfusana wa anfusakum. How clearer can it be? Are we puzzled here in this audience? Or is it clear to you as well? It seems clear to me. Is it clear to you? The Quran identifies for us, if we are interested to look, who his true Khalifas are. It identifies them for us, hiding in plain sight. It is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ali. It is Ali alayhi salam, Fatima alayhi salam, Hassan alayhi salam, and Hussein alayhi salam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. So Allah identifies them as the confederates, the party of God, Hizbullah, for they are holy, purified, divinely guided, and hence are given guardianship over creation, are given wilaya. من كنت مولاه فهذا علي مولاه اللهم والي من والاه وعاد من عاداه وانصر من نصره واخذل من خذله. It is so clear. It is so clear. We don't need to debate. We don't need to write dissertation. It is so clear. When Imam Ali alayhi salam, before I get there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala identifies them as the party of Allah. They are wholly purified and divinely guided, and hence are given guardianship over creation. They qualify to be the Khalifa. And those who oppose them, Hizbush Shaitan, this is what the angels were aware of when Allah announced the designation of the Khalifa who would cause bloodshed and dissension. It's Hizbush Shaitan, who would create an alliance with the anti-Khalifa force. Who is the anti-Khalifa force? Starts with I-B. Iblis. Pretty clear to me. Those who oppose this purified house are Hizbush Shaitan. When Imam Ali alayhi salam was placed in a 6-man council under the instruction of the second caliph, Imam Ali alayhi salam was told by Abdul Rahman bin Auf, we'll give you the Khilafah, but you got to promise that you're going to rule by the book of Allah, the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ali, and the precedent set by the two Shaykhain, Caliph 1 and 2. Imam Ali refused. to recognize the non-divinely appointed authority represented by the Shaykhain, the two fallible humans who had no divine mandate to govern. Because they were not connected to that vertical column, إِنَّمَا وَلِيُّكُمُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. And Allah defines who that man is in the group of الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا and who his genealogy is. You have to be plugged into the vertical column. Because the vicegerency, the khilafah, the wilaya is not a political terrestrial reality only. It is sacred. It's a sacred institution. And Imam Ali alayhi salam is being told, we'll give you this football. We'll pass it to you. Only if you go by the precedent of these two before you. He said, absolutely not. And if you read his Shakshakhiya sermon, he said, this whole thing to me is like the sneezing of a goat. I don't even want it. I don't need it. You think I have political ambitions? Ibn Taymiyyah, la'natullah alayh, says in his writings, he's called Shaykh al-Islam by some dhalleen. He says that Imam Ali alayhi salam was seeking ri'asa. He was seeking to be a king, a president. How dare he? How dare he? How dare he? Imam Ali alayhi salam, Mawlai, Sayyidi wa Mawlai ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Sayyidi wa ya Mawlai ya Imam al-Hasan. You know that Imam Khomeini says that if we held a majlis every day until Qiyamah for the 24 years that the right of Imam Ali alayhi salam was usurped, that this ummah for 24 years was denied the governance of this man, we would not do it justice. If every day we held a majlis, and if every day we celebrated the 4 years that he ruled, we would not do justice. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. "24 long, bitter years that this man was sidelined and treated with disrespect. My Imam, our Imam, the nafs of Rasulullah, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad." Thank you. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Ya Abul Hasan, Ya Sayyidi wa Ya Mawlai. We see that while we all can be God's vicegerent or his representative on earth in a generic sense, that we all belong to this Adamic archetype, this God-breathed creature. There is a hierarchy, and those who are at the top of this hierarchy, who God purified a thorough purification, is none other than Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, acting as guides to the rest of humanity. These are the individuals, the real humans whose intellect is unsullied by the anti-Adamic, anti-Khalifa force called Iblis. La ilaha illallah. They represent the ultimate truth and are designated by Allah and His Prophet to be the purest representation of the Adamic creation. This being, this vicegerent in the fullness sense of the word, this true Khalifa of Allah, his true successor, his true steward and deputy, is represented by none other than Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi and his deputy, his Khalifa, his Wazir, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, in a chain of divine authority from Allah to Rasulullah to Amir al-Mu'mineen and to Al-Immat al-Ma'asumeen alayhim as-salatu was-salam. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi said, Aliyun ma'al haq wal-haq ma'ali. Yaduru ma'ahu kayfa ma dar. That Imam Ali alayhi salam, he is in a relationship to truth. Haq is unbreakable with this man. He is the embodiment of this attribute. And when you look at the cosmic reality that we talked about yesterday, that Allah says, had the haq followed their desires, the whole created order would have been destroyed. And this is what happened in those 24 years. This is what happened when you usurp the right of the true Khalifa. This is what happens when those not vested with authority, who are not ulul amr, take over. You get a Karbala. You get the distortion of this sacred religion over 14 centuries. You get the memory of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam being whitewashed in the books of hadith, barely mentioned. You get Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam, Sayyida Nisa al-Alameen, being buried in secret. La ilaha illallah. Ya Ali, innaka qasim al-jannati wal-nar. What more do you want? That this man is not good enough for you. Your prophet is telling you this man is the dividing line between heaven and hell. And you want to argue and you want to debate. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. I'm not ashamed of my tears. I take them as a badge of honor of my wilayah of my master. I take them as a badge of honor. Ya Ali, innaka qasimu jannati wan nar. Who else did Rasulullah speak like this? This man who is created of his same nur, the nur al-Muhammadi, that cannot be destroyed. Ya Ali, أنت الصديق الأكبر وأنت الفاروق الأعظم الذي يفرق بين الحق والباطل. Imam Ali is the Farouk. Imam Ali is the Siddiq alayhi salam. These titles belong to him. And his son Hussain ibn Ali, Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, was categorically the true Khalifa, the fullness of the Adamic creation. He was Allah's Khalifa in actuality and not in potentiality. And he sacrificed himself to bring the religious cosmos back into divine order against the confederates of Satan, as he called them out on the battlefield. My Imam, my master, Sayyidi wa Mawlai, ya Aba Abdullah, ya Imam al-Hussain, he said to them, إن القوم استحوذ عليهم الشيطان فأنساهم ذكر الله أولئك حزب الشيطان ألا إن حزب الشيطان هم الخاسرون. These are the people whom Satan has prevailed over them. So he has caused them to forget the remembrance of God. They are Satan's confederates. They are the conscripts of Iblis, whom the angels had recognized, that this anti-Adamic, this Iblis, this anti-Adamic force would infiltrate and attack the true Khalifa. And that is why there is bloodshed and corruption. And beyond any doubt, Imam al-Hussein is the true Khalifa, for he is standing directly in sight of this Satan, in sight of this Iblis and his legion of armies. And look what they did. The sacrilege, the evil. Look what they did to Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. Look how they treated them. Imam al-Hussein is the true Khalifa. He sacrificed himself to bring the religious cosmos back into divine order against the confederates of Satan, who represent fallen man, fallen Adam. Adam not as a conscious man who is taught the names of all things, but of a beast, of an animal who has become a confederate of Satan, has become a conscript of Satan, has become a vehicle for Satan to hatch eggs in his bosom, as Imam Ali alayhi salam says. And this is where, inshallah, we will continue tomorrow when we continue to examine Quranic anthropology. My dear brothers and sisters, those of you who may be watching, these tears that are shed out of love. They are shed out of love. Because it is my conviction that Islam without Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam is dead. Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam are the heart of Islam. And I pray that those of you watching will make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you perhaps have been maybe a shock by what you saw today in my emotional reaction, that you make a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He reveals to you. We need guidance here. You can't get this from books. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals to you the true status of these people that He purified. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
I'm a Husseini kid, this is how I live, serving my Imam, following Islam. I wake up in the morning and I pray Salat Fajr, ready to go to school today. I do seek knowledge for the Imam. I would do Allah and walking on the way for my Imam. I do work hard, eager to learn this. It's a Husseini way. I respect my teachers and my classmates. I do represent on Hussein. I'm a Husseini kid. This is how I live. Serving my Imam, following Islam. Every day I open the Quran. I start to learn about Islam to improve my soul. I stay away from haram to please Allah, and the Imam does seek. This is my goal. I help my parents with chores. It shows respect as a Husseini kid. It's part of my role. I learn every day. I help every way. This is my pathway. It's Al-Hussein. I'm a Husseini kid. This is how I live, serving my Imam in Islam. I get ready as tonight, take part in Majlis and serve Imam Al-Hussein. I revive his chagri each way to revive my soul. And I mourn again and again. He teaches us to always stand up for the truth and speak out against evil with no shame. Inni Silman Liman Salamakum Inna Haban Liman Hawabakum. I'm a Husseini kid. This is how I live, serving Mom in following Islam. I get to the mosque and I donate. I give charity which will go up towards people in need. I cook and I clean and organize. I give out water in His name. His visitors I greet. For Him no task is too small, too straining. For I recall Abbas serving the He, and a servant of Abbas is my God. I try to abide to his teaching. I'm a Hussaini creed. This is how I live, serving my Imam, following Islam. When the recitation starts, I do go towards middle to take a part in the azan. I am brave, and so I will recite to the top of my lungs, and I grieve with all my heart's mourning passion will show as I help recall who was slain in Karbala. Hussein is my love. Set from up above, he had shaped life with his sacrifice. I'm a Hussaini kid. This is how I live, serving my Imam, following Islam. I'm a Hussaini kid. This is how I live, serving my Imam, following Islam.
أحسنتم صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. After that beautiful masa'ib by our dear and respected Hajj, Dr. Abdul Sa'ad, inshallah ta'ala, little more needs to be said. And inshallah tonight is of course for the companions of Abi Abdullah al-Hussain, عليهم الصلاة والسلام. So inshallah, just in brief, let's consider these noble, blessed, amazing individuals, the pinnacle of humanity, the best of any companions of any prophet or imam. Men who stood in front of Imam al-Hussain as a shield as he led the Dhuhr prayer, taking the arrows through their flesh and their bones. Half of them were killed in this manner. And one companion tonight, inshallah, who will briefly mention, Wahab bin Abdullah al-Kalbi, may Allah's peace and blessings and mercy be upon him. He was a man who was just married, newlywed, and he encountered Imam al-Hussain on the journey. When he was returning from his wedding, he encountered Imam al-Hussain and his caravan. And through his generosity, his kindness, his wisdom, his eloquence, his character, Imam al-Hussain was able to capture the heart of Wahab bin Abdullah al-Kalbi, his mother, and his new wife, and they joined his cause. This was a man who was a Christian. Our dear Hajj was mentioning that there are levels in the personality of a human being. The fitrah, the innate nature of the human being. Sometimes someone does not have to profess Islam with his tongue. They can profess it through their actions, through their heart. And such a man was Wahab. He never said the words, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, yet simply by being on the side of Abi Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salam, he was automatically a Muslim by default, not even saying the words, just through his actions. A Muslim who is not only a Muslim, but amongst the highest echelon of Islam. Amongst the chosen few, the companions of Karbala are indeed a chosen few, a level that none of us can reach. A level that is only held amongst any companions of any prophet or imam, that is only held by these individuals. May the peace and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon them. And when he was martyred, it was very unique because it was not only him who was killed. His wife, who was mourning over his dead body, was killed alongside him. His wife Hania salamullahu alayha, she embraced the body of Wahab al-Kalbi, and then she too was struck down by the cursed Rustam, the slave of Shimr, la'natullah alayhim ajma'in. And these two died together in the cause of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Please rise for Latam, insha'Allah. حسین یا مولا 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 حسین. کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ 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 ہو گئی برباد یہ بہنا کرب و بلا میں. کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ ہو گئی برباد یہ بہنا کرب و بلا میں. کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ کربلا کچھ نہ دیا کرب و اذیت کے سوا میرے دامن میں بچا کیا ہے مصیبت کے سوا کربلا تجھ سے ملا کیا ہے قیامت کے سوا. کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ ہو گئی برباد یہ بہنا کرب و بلا میں. کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ ہو گئی برباد یہ بہنا کرب و بلا میں. کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ کہتی تھی زینب صبح عاشور اذان علی اکبر کی قسم میرے بھائی پہ چلے تیر ہزاروں پہ ہم چپ رہی کرب و بلا ہوتے رہے ہم پہ ستم. کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ ہو گئی برباد یہ بہنا کرب و بلا میں. کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ کہتی تھی زینب میرا 18 برس والا جیالہ اکبر کھا گئی تجھ کو بھی ہے کرب و بلا تیری نظر میں نے دیکھا اسی لال کا برچھی میں جگر. کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ ہو گئی برباد یہ بہنا کرب و بلا میں. کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ ہو گئی برباد یہ بہنا کرب و بلا میں. کہتی تھی زینب کہتی تھی زینب بھائی 18 تھے 2 بیٹے تھے کوئی نہ رہا اب تو تنہائی میری دیتی ہے مجھ کو پرسا کیا بھرا گھر تھا میرا کر دیا مجھ کو تنہا. کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ ہو گئی برباد یہ بہنا کرب و بلا میں. کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ کہتی تھی زینب میرے عباس پہ کیا گزری بتاؤں کیسے مشق ایک بھرنے میں 2 بازو قلم ہو کے گرے اس کے مرنے سے ہے محروم بہن چادر سے. کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ ہو گئی برباد یہ بہنا کرب و بلا میں. کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ ہو گئی برباد یہ بہنا
کرب و بلا میں کہتی تھی زینب، کہتی تھی زینب بے خطا بھائی میرا قتل ہوا جنگل میں، سینکڑوں زخم کلیجے پہ لگے ایک پل میں، آگ پانی میں لگا دی ہے میرے آنچل نے، کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ، کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ، ہو گئی برباد یہ بہنا کرب و بلا میں، کہتی تھی زینب، کہتی تھی زینب میرے اللہ مجھے شام تلک جانا ہے، کوئی بھی اپنا نہیں شہر بیگانہ ہے، میرے اللہ مجھے شام تلک جانا ہے، کوئی بھی اپنا نہیں شہر بھی بیگانہ ہے، تیری خوشنودی میں رسی میں میرا شانہ ہے، کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ، کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ، ہو گئی برباد یہ بہنا کرب و بلا میں، کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ، کہتی تھی زینب تا قیامت رہے ریحان عزائے سرور، خون دل بہتا رہے آنکھ سے آنسو بن کر، یہ صدا کانوں سے ٹکراتی ہے ابھی اکثر، کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ، کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ، ہو گئی برباد یہ بہنا کرب و بلا میں، کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ، کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ، ہو گئی برباد یہ بہنا کرب و بلا میں، کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ، کہتی تھی زینب ہائے حسینہ، بر محمد آل محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم۔
حسین یا مولا، حسین یا مولا،
حسین یا مولا، حسین یا مولا، حسین یا مولا،
حسین یا مولا، حسین یا مولا، حسین یا مولا، حسین یا مولا، حسین یا مولا، حسین یا مولا، حسین، حسین یا مولا، حسین یا مولا، یا انصار الحسین یا نور العین، یا اصحاب کربلا قاتلوا فی سبیل اللہ، یا انصار الحسین یا نور العین، یا اصحاب کربلا قاتلوا فی سبیل اللہ، قاتلوا فی سبیل اللہ۔ All the pain and struggles you face earn rewards and your Lord's grace. Hasten your steps towards battle, mount your great war horse's saddles. Travel towards your certain doom, ready to meet your Lord soon. Choose your death before dishonor, raise your swords high and grow stronger. Ya Ansar al-Hussein, Ya Noor al-Ain, Ya Ashab Karbala, qatilu fi sabilillah. Ya Ansar al-Hussein, Ya Noor al-Ain, Ya Ashab Karbala, qatilu fi sabilillah. Sabilillah. O brave soldiers of Hussein, struggle forth in your Lord's name. Fight for your noble Imam with the purest of Iman. Those faithless with hearts of stone tear through your flesh and bones as the arrows fly towards you. Stand firm in Salat, you are the chosen few. Ya Ansar al-Hussein, Ya Noor al-Ain, Ya Ashab Karbala, qatilu fi sabilillah. Ya Ansar al-Hussein, Ya Noor al-Ain, Ya Ashab Karbala, qatilu fi sabilillah, qatilu fi sabilillah. Fight in the way of Allah on the sands of Karbala. Charge straight towards the enemy, bring them death like none can see. No messenger among nations, no prophet of creation, none had followers like Hussein, sacrificing all in his name. يا أنصار الحسين يا نور العين، يا أصحاب كربلاء قاتلوا في سبيل الله. يا أنصار الحسين يا نور العين، يا أصحاب كربلاء قاتلوا في سبيل الله، قاتلوا في سبيل الله. حسين يا مولا، 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 حسين يا مولا. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
متوجه زيارة. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا نبي الله، السلام عليك يا حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا محمد بن عبد الله، السلام عليك يا صفوة الله، السلام عليك يا أمين الله، السلام عليك ورحمة الله وبركاته، السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوسيجين، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا مولاي وعلى أنصارك المستشهدين معك جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته، السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلام عليك يا معين الزوفاء والفقراء، السلام عليك يا مغيث الشيعة والزوار في يوم الجزاء، السلام عليك يا أنيس النفوس، السلام عليك أيها المدفون بإرزتوس، السلطان أبو الحسن علي بن موسى الرازي بالقدر والقضاء ورحمة الله وبركاته، السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، الأمان الأمان الأمان، السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا قام الكفر والطغيان، عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وزهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله
الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرزك توا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل